You are now tuned into Flippin' the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 144 of Flippin' the Birds. I'm Brian Cam alongside Zach Chavalella, Morgan Burkett, and our special guest, Mr. Eagles Session herself, Gail Saunders. How's everybody feeling today?
Who's first? 6-0, bro. 6-0.
Yeah, 6-0. What can you say? You know, it's pretty good. You know, just about as good as you can get.
Everybody's feeling so good that nobody wants to make the move for who goes next.
Well, I want to be respectful here. I'm just geeked, man. I like everything that this team is put on the table has been good enough to be 6-0, but they haven't even played their best football. So for them not to play their best football and they're still 6-0, there's some of the traits that you like. Defensively, they've been pretty phenomenal. I think Bradbury has been excellent pairing with Slay.
Man. Excellent man.
You know, linebacker play has been phenomenal.
Kaiser White, baby. Kaiser White.
Yeah, and CJG, another guy these are all new pieces that have been added to the puzzle. I think going back to that Bucs game, losing in the playoffs could have been the best thing for this young, budding football team. Sure. I think they're coming into their own now and trying to figure things out, but they have an identity right now. It's not full identity, but they have this identity, and right now it's working. So I mean, you can't be mad at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, 6-0.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree.
Not much more to say. It's 6-0, but I
don't know. 6-0.
I was ready to have this conversation, like, you know, with the bye week and be like, oh, like they lost this game they shouldn't have lost, and then there's this and there's that, and it's just like at this point, like, we're talking about playoffs already. Like week 6, like this. Looking at the schedule that's left, there's a conversation about what they need to fix going into playoffs. That's a pretty good place to be in when you're only 6 weeks into the season, right? So, I mean, things go wrong. It could happen, and knock on wood. But to be this early in the season and you're already looking at home field advantage and it's legitimate, and unless if they win the games they're supposed to win, they're first seed, which is crazy in week 6. That's a nice place to be.
And they've done what they've had to do too. That win over Dallas was absolutely huge. That's something that, obviously you want to be 6-0, you want to win every game that you go into, but taking the game against Dallas is going to mean a lot. We still don't know what the Cowboys are going to look like when Dak Prescott comes back. I'm maybe not as bullish as some other people because that's going to be a whole change of the offensive scheme, but it's better to have that over the Cowboys than to not. So that even more so than just getting the 6th win, even more so than just beating the Cowboys, having that in the division, absolutely going to be huge come the end of the year.
For sure.
And I mean, so kind of just want to backtrack a little bit because you said something that was very key. They have yet to play a complete game. And ideally, it's kind of like, some people may be a little worried about it. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, they're hot, but like, damn, like what's going to happen when they actually get challenged? But it's scary if you actually think about it. They have yet to play an actual complete game where the offense is striking on all cylinders from quarter 1 to quarter 4, where the defense is actually being aggressive all game long. Like we've seen these trips where the defense actually goes, gets a little comfortable and they go into the prevent defense, and I know where teams start scoring. The offense seems to lose their way in the second half where they get off script. They get off script and they don't know where to go after that. So I mean, with the bye happening this week, and I think it's super key for us to actually explore what's going to happen going forward. I mean, are we going to see Jalen Hurts actually get the ball more in his hands and actually deliver more to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? Because I think they've kind of gone away from the deep ball a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
Well, I mean, you think it like, you go back to that Vikings game. They were playing a lot of cover 3, a lot of zone. And he was just picking them apart. They're taking away those deep shots, and he still was getting busy. It's just funny because like Eagle fans are very finicky, and that it becomes like, they don't want you to lose, and then you win a game. They're like, no, we don't like how you won the game. Like, bro, but we did win the game. Like, no, but I didn't like how you won the game. So I mean, this is how, like, at a point, like, and then we're 6-0 and we're still like, I wish Jalen Hurts would throw more touchdown passes. Come on, man, complete touchdowns. He's
Who was it that came out with that? Because that was like a popular like tweet or something like that. Somebody was raging about, right?
I was ready to punch the screen, and I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, you got him on your fantasy team. Clearly, that's all. That's the only reason you can complain. That's it.
You know, like,
but even still, he's got the rushing touchdowns. You know, like
he's doing good at fantasy. I'm not complaining at all.
Or is he not getting the ball in the end zone? Like, that's the whole problem I have with that argument. It's like, not only are they winning, but he's getting the ball in the end zone. So do I care if he's running it in or if he's throwing it in? I really don't, because the team is efficient. The team is 6-0, and Jalen Hurts looks great. I have no complaints on him.
I mean, the way they're getting it done with like I mean, he's a running threat. Right. So and then now we're utilizing that skill set, which people complain about. Now we're leaving defensive ends, linebackers unblocked. And we're using that against defenses. You see Micah Parsons being put in a blender. Now we're like overloading one side of the, we're playing off of, the psyche of our opposing defensive players. You're seeing guys staring at Jalen Hurts. Meanwhile, it's opening a hole for, like, say, a Kenneth Gainwell on some of these inside plays. It's a great skill set to have. So I don't know why. Like, we're home of the running quarterback in Philadelphia. Like, you can go 20 out of 25 years of ownership. And it's been a running quarterback from Randall, Donovan, Vic. Like, what is that? All of a sudden now we're like, could you stop running the ball? Yeah. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, you make a great point too, because obviously, against the Cowboys, it's nice to throw long touchdowns, but that's just not how that defense is built, right? They take that away, they apply pressure, and so the game plan was perfect, man. Like that last touchdown to Smitty, you just watched that play call. It was beautiful. So he comes in, he's faking the crack, and he just leaks. It's like a little corner route. It's just beautiful, right? Because that linebacker's got contained, and then as soon as Jalen Hurts comes outside, he's the boom guy. He's got to come down and lay a hit, and then that just leaves Smitty right over top. Like, it's just there's moments on this offense where it's just beautiful. I think again, because we got to do it. We got to get into the weeds, and we can't just be too happy with everything. It's the halftime adjustments, and I think the light bulb for me was I think it was the Dallas game where the announcers were like, talking about Shane Steichen, and they're just like, with these young coaches, they're gonna have growing pains, and I just had a light bulb. It's like, oh damn, like, he is a young coach. I think I forget, because the coaching staff in general is so young that he's still a young coach, man. He's still coming into his own and all that stuff, and that was one of those things that when he came over from the Chargers, that we talked to. I remember we talked to some guys from the Chargers, and we're like, oh, what's the deal with Shane Steichen? They're like, that's the one thing, is the halftime adjustments. He's got to clean that up. He's got to be better. And
the unlimited screen passes they brought up as well.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so that's gonna be a growing pain. And the fact that you can go through these growing pains and still be 6-0 and still be beating probably what's on paper one of the best teams in the league. Like, the Cowboys, regardless of who's at quarterback, are still playing really good football right now. And so you can come out and you can play what's possibly not even just your division opponent, but a conference opponent when it comes down to playoff seeding, and you can still win, and you can still go through those growing pains with your young coaches. It's just impressive, man. Like, and you listen to Jalen Hurts after the game, and he's not even that happy. He's like, okay, like, not that he's not happy, you're gonna celebrate a win and stuff like that, but he's hungry, man, and that's what really gets me fired up, is just listening to him lead this team and be unsatisfied with 6-0. Like, you have a lot of teams right now that have the same quarterback that's like the same age would be saying, oh, we're 6-0, like, let's be happy about it. And Jalen Hurts is not happy, man. He's hungry, and so that's nice. That's nice.
I love after every game, the standard is the standard. Right. So if there's a standard and you're not meeting that, you might not be super geeked, but but make sure you enjoy the win, and it's all part of the process. We have trust the process in Philly, but I think, the process of this team week in and week out, you see they're developing. You see one player step up every single game. That whole idea of, all Batmans, no Robins. Every game there's someone who steps up to be the hero and save the day. Even though, some people say Batman's not a real superhero, he's a human.
Whoa,
But that's
whoa.
I know that's a
Whoa,
conversation out there.
Whoa,
I know, I'm
man.
just saying.
Let's not get hostile, okay? Calm down.
But you see AJ Brown step on 1 week, Devontae Smith step on 1 week, Slay is a hero, CJG.
Miles Sanders, man. Oof, he's been good.
He's having an efficient season. I mean, we're not gonna say it. He's having a pretty efficient season when the Eagles call his number. Like the guy is showing up. Granted, like have his moments where he's just like he's stuck between a bunch of tackles. He's actually doing what needs to be done. And to me, I mean, in my heart, I still want the Eagles to resign to extend them, and it could come just because of what he's doing right now. But it's just all working so well together. Like it's like a mixed bag of players that just shouldn't fit, but they work so well together. Like there's no ego between AJ Brown and Devontae. There's no ego between Kenneth and Miles. Jalen, and we haven't even heard about the controversy of Gardner Minshew, who could possibly be starting like 1 to 4 teams in the league. And then Darius Slay, like James Bradbury, Devontae Maddox. I mean, Zach McPherson still hasn't really gotten his shot because there's so many great players in front of him, but you don't hear a peep out of it. Kobe Dean barely sees the field. You don't hear a peep out of it. It's such a wild blend of players, and it's working so well that I don't know. Like it's like kind of like Gil said, like it's just you gotta enjoy it while you can. Obviously nothing lasts forever. But like this team is on another level. Like their connection to me, at least right now, is stronger than the 2017.
I mean that connection was strong as well. I mean, I spoke to Chris Long, and he was saying that off the field they were they used to hang out like every week. They were going over friends' houses. It was super. They were super connected. But I do believe that this team off the field has been super tight, and that was part of the whole makeup of or the mindset that Sirianni was going with in connecting. That's one of their main things about connecting. Having Jalen Hurts not only have a player like AJ Brown that he could trust on the field, off the field, he has his best friend there as well. And I think you see that translate, just like you saw Quez Watkins and Jalen Hurts' relationship off the field translate to the field. And then the whole idea of like your whole team believing in Jalen. We were at Jalen's football camp that he put on for Philadelphia youth out there. And, I got to talk to Jordan Mailata. He was like the only guy that showed up. Not no one else wanted to show up, but Jordan Mailata was there. And he was just he's just watching Jalen coach the kids, and he's just like so invested. So I feel like all these players are invested in each other. And it's not just the on the field thing. And I think that's a key to they're probably their success this year.
There's a few things like that I saw is one we talked about CJ Gardner Johnson is like he came over from the Saints and he had that clip recently where he's talking about how this playing with the secondary changes perspective, right? And then again kind of like Bobo, and I was like he was in New Orleans when Malcolm Jenkins was there, right? And we thought the world of Malcolm Jenkins. And so if he's saying that this is like another level where, and we know how much Malcolm brings to a team, right? And how good he was at, accountability and leadership and all that kind of thing. And he went over to New Orleans and CJ saying that he came here and it's that extra level that's just incredible. But like, I love that young core, but having that in tandem with these older guys, like the play that really stands out to me is that bad snap that Jason Kelce had. Jason Kelce had that one bad snap. Who recovered the fumble? Jason Kelce, right? You have guys like that where it's just like when guys are making mistakes, like no one's turning their head and be like, oh, like that should have been you, that should have been me. And it's kind of guys like Jason Kelce are there too. So it's this young core and then this older group that have been to the Super Bowl that know what it takes. And it's just like a great overall atmosphere because you have these young guys that are growing together. And then they have that standard set, like Gail was talking about, is you have that standard. And, you're looking at those older guys and they're not taking plays off. You got guys like Jason Kelce was hurt that whole game, played most of it. And it's just, again, like they're just going to feed off of each other. And then come playoff time, man, like it's just going to be a good energy because it's going to be the young guys that are hungry, the old guys that know what it takes. It's a good place to be.
I'm going to throw a little wrench in our conversation right now. Just before we get to trade deadline talk, right? So I don't know if you kind of researched it a little bit, but I researched it and it kind of just it blew me away and it kind of scared me a little bit. The Eagles have 19 free agents at the end of the season. 11 of them are actual starting caliber players. You got James Bradbury, you got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, you got Miles Sanders. You got a heavy amount of actual key players that they could lose. So kind of going into the trade deadline, like obviously, everybody's thinking Andre Diller's bait, which, he may be. I truly don't think they should, but he may be trade bait. What are you expecting out of the Eagles to pull off with all these players, these key players that are contributing? Like James Bradbury is back to top 5 cornerback kind of status. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has come into his own at the safety position, and you have Miles Sanders, who's he fits this offense so perfectly that to lose him and to rely on a Kenneth Gainwell or Boston Scott may not be ideal right now. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's like when you're on a Super Bowl run. I'm saying Super Bowl run, but like when you're on a run, those kind of things, like you're like, it's in the back of your mind, but it's also for those players, those guys are fighting for a contract. You know what I mean? So I like it in that theory. Like they're giving you their best. They're not fat and happy like a Galladay up there in New York. It's just half-assed in routes, but like they're in a situation where they have to put their best foot forward. But I feel like you start to look at Miles Sanders. You look at the second contracts of running backs. Usually they get nicked up and get hurt. He's dealt with that. Do you want to put that money in there, or do you want to put it elsewhere? And what would it take, James, if you want to stay here? You love the vibe, you love the city. You hear players like AJ Brown and CJG talk about the atmosphere of playing in Philly. Like, if they would love this atmosphere, and will they take discounts to keep this together? Will they be a band of brothers next season and give a discount double check to the Eagles? Like maybe, I don't know. I'm hoping. But we'll see, man. Because I think this secondary, just seeing this the way they've been playing, like you got to keep these guys together somehow. You have to. You got to make it work.
It just works with them.
Yeah, the secondary especially is definitely something that you have to. Well, the really when you look at all of them, you have to prioritize and you have to figure out, what makes sense as far as what positions are going to be prioritized most important. And on top of that, what do we have behind them? What are the depth pieces that we have here? When you look at the linebacker core, for instance, that's where you kind of have a little bit of depth since you have Nakobe Dean back there. But when you look at the secondary, we've talked about Zech McPherson not really getting the shake yet. And, could he still develop? Sure, absolutely. But the disparity between what we've last known Zech McPherson as and what James Bradbury has been is so vast. And that's not even a slight on Zech. That is just how great James Bradbury's played. So to keep a guy like that opposite Darius Slay, who has launched into one of the top, I mean, he's always had the talent, but one of the top corners in the NFL this season, obviously that is so much due to Darius Slay's talent, but having Bradbury on the other end absolutely helps. Having Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the back, as one of your safety options definitely helps. Keeping the secondary together, I think, should be the priority 100%. Now, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I can't speak for him. He's the only person who can speak for himself. He left New Orleans, from what we heard, because he wanted to get safety money, big time safety money. Has that changed since coming to Philadelphia? It very well could have. But I'll tell you this right now, I'm ready to pay a pretty penny for him. I'd rather give him the bag than give it to Miles Sanders, if I'm being honest. And I love Boobie Cousins, or Sanders rather. But
Boobie Cousins.
Yeah, I know. This is my NBA brain coming at me.
But
Boobie, listen, I love Miles Sanders. I do. I hesitate with that second back contract, especially, and I hate to say it, with how well he's played. He knows it's a contract year, and he's playing very, very well at the perfect time for him. So I only say that to say I think there's going to be other suitors. So again, maybe it does come down to that kind of discount that Gail's talking about, but I would much rather pay the bag to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, or especially James Bradbury, than I would a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when we're talking about the trade deadline, this is kind of off-season stuff, and again, I hope they pay everyone, man. Like, keep the team together, keep as many pieces as you can together. But that's going to be contract negotiations. But when it comes to the trade deadline, man, I can see the Eagles as sellers, man. Like, we talked about Dillard, and I brought it up before the podcast. Brian wasn't a fan. I don't know if Zach agreed either.
It's risky, man. Like, Malata hasn't played a full season healthy. Sorry,
right?
But yeah, that's my.
It's
point.
A risk, but I think what you have, right, is you have, obviously he was hurt, so he wasn't coming in. Dillard wasn't coming in, but you had Driscoll play both sides. You feel pretty comfortable that he can play both sides. And hopefully you're not ever having to play 2 backup tackles. That's the hope. It might happen, and it definitely has happened. But you need one. You need a swing tackle, you need a swing guard. So that's kind of where I can see them making moves, is maybe offloading Dillard, getting some picks. Like, I think that's where Howie's mindset is you're looking at this draft, and that's the crazy part, man. Is they're having this much success and probably still have a top 10 pick in the upcoming draft. Like, unless the Saints have a 180, like, it's insane to think about. But I think that Howie's thinking about that is where's a few places I can get picks, because, man, we're talking about depth, and I get it. You could probably add a corner, but who are you going to really trade for at this point? That you really need. Like, I don't think you want to spend capital right now. That you don't really need to be spending. Is that okay? Like, is Zach McPherson the guy? Like, probably not. But are you gonna assume that Bradbury's gonna get hurt and then trade for a corner just to get rid of some capital? Like, I don't think so. And then you have guys like in depth, like Zach Pascal, man. Like, he's been really good when they've used him. I could see him being a guy that later on in the season becomes like, I don't know how many of his catches, but it seems like every single catch he has goes for a first down on a third down. Like that, it seems like that's what he's been doing. So you have all these guys that we are kind of afterthoughts at this point in the season that are going to become huge later in the season. You don't really need that. Like, in years past, it's like, okay, we need that fourth receiver. We need a guy that can come in and change the pace, but we already have that, right? And we're talking about running backs. Like, we haven't really even seen Kenny Gainwell much, and he was fantastic last year, right? Yeah, Trey Sermon as well. Like, there's all these pieces that we're kind of forgetting about because they haven't needed them yet. So I don't really see the Eagles needing to go out and get players. I just think it's going to be a case of those guys that are already on the roster. We're going to see more and more of them, which is crazy to think of, that how deep this team got kind of overnight over in the offseason. And then you're talking about linebacker as well. Like, Kaiser White's one of those guys, right? Like, who knows how long we're going to have him for? But you look behind him, you have Nakobe Dean, TJ Edwards is still young. You have guys like that are just special teamers, like Sean Bradley. Like, we don't know, like, he's been getting better every year. Like, last year he probably should have been the special teamer of the year kind of dude. And then Zach McPherson again has been amazing on special teams player of the week already once. So you have all these pieces. I just can't see the Eagles using capital to go get other people, but I could see them maybe offloading someone like Dillard just for more picks.
Yeah, I think I think Dillard, Hollis on our podcast, Hollis Thomas, is not a huge fan of Dillard. Calls him Big Puddin'. He just says that he's lingering around here since he's a first. But like, I feel like Driscoll, he's been I'm not gonna say he's been. You say Driscoll season because I feel like he's a versatile piece.
Right.
Like, he's a guy that can play multiple positions. I think so. I think you do have your swing tackle there, just in case. I mean, he did have a little, rough time against Micah, but Micah is Micah. But I think Driscoll gives you valuable snaps. We just haven't seen the whole Dillard experiment come to fruition yet. Like, in theory, we feel like he's serviceable, but how serviceable is he? We haven't seen a shit ton of games where we're like, that guy, we'll keep him around. But I get it, the whole Big V situation. When we lost Jason Peters on that Super Bowl run, Big V was a huge factor for us. But could that be Driscoll?
He got paid, right? I think that's the main thing. It's not that Dillard doesn't provide value to the Eagles, but there's going to be a team out there that values him a lot more than the Eagles do, and they're going to be willing to give away capital for that purpose, right? Big V got paid in Detroit, like, and he deservedly got paid, but the Eagles weren't going to pay that. So if another team is,
didn't the Rams lose a tackle recently?
Yeah,
they just lost ACL whole year. Yeah,
Rams love to give away picks. So hey,
Cam Akers, I'll take him.
I think that you just kind of hit the nail on the head though with the capital. I think that's what it really comes down to, because Philadelphia's not giving away Andre Dillard. Could they move him? I think absolutely, but they're going to find the best situation and take advantage of a desperate team. I think the situation that you've described for an Andre Dillard trade is, the perfect situation and the one that would be the most likely to happen. So if they do trade Dillard, which I'm not 100% sold on the idea that they will, but if they do, that's the situation that it's going to be. You're not out here trading him for a 5th round pick. You're going to be taking advantage of a team who's desperate, who's still trying to compete. The Rams make perfect sense. I think that's definitely one of the big teams to look out for, because their whole season has been pretty uneven to this point. And now you lose the left tackle. It's makes all the sense in the world that they have already called Philadelphia, or if not, that they will be in touch with Harry Roseman soon, just because they're going to need to strengthen that left side.
Yep. I think Howie's working the phones. Howie's like Omar from The Wire. He's always on the block. Yeah. Howie's coming, or Howie's calling. I think, he has the right idea of a trade in his head, and he's working the phones to see if he can get that from certain teams. We do keep seeing the running back trade scenarios where it's McCaffrey, now Akers,
Gail, let me pick your mind really quick about this, because I was ridiculed last week for this idea. Oh, sorry.
You said you were not going to bring it up this week.
I didn't bring it up. Gail brought it up. It was Gail's fault. So how do we feel about C-Mac and Philly? I know, listen, we know it's a Madden style trade. We know it's a Madden style game. I get it. I understand it. But hypothetically speaking, if Philly was able to pull a trade for C-Mac, right? Whether you give up Miles Sanders or you keep Miles Sanders, whatever case may be, how would you feel about it?
Yeah, eat that contract, man.
It's just a wild contract.
It's not guaranteed. I do want to say that it is non-guaranteed in future years. I'm not in defense of it. Let me get that. I found that out after the pod. I wanted to bring that up to be fair to you, Brian, because I still hate the idea, but I did want to bring that up to be fair to you. But to kind of counter that before Gail kind of tears into the whole idea, I want to mention, why would Miles Sanders go back to Carolina when their season's over? That's the only other thing that I wanted to say. Gail, you have the floor. I just wanted to get that out there.
Wait, we're trading 1-for-1 CMC for Miles Sanders?
We don't know what we're trading for, but
all right. Sorry, Gail. I'm trying to wrap my head around this too.
It could be future son.
When you show up to someone's house and you feel like there's some family issues that are going on. I feel like I stepped into that. Like you invited me for dinner. Like, is everything okay with you guys?
What do you think about the potatoes? Are they overdone? Yeah, it's like one of those things. Yeah.
My handle is Eagle Sessions for a reason, because I wanted to be a therapist at one point. So.
We need you
to talk about it
right now. We need you to bring this family back together, Kyle.
Yeah. So in terms of, because I've had the same conversation with many of Eagle fans. They're like, "What about C-Mac?" And I'm like, I just don't like the money, and I just don't like his injury history. Obviously, he's twitched up and he makes plays. You think about him in a Gainwell type of role on steroids, putting linebackers in blenders. I could see that. It's just a matter of how they look at the running back situation. Do they think they can get by, or is there, instead of a C-Mac, you get a power back? Like, for me, like I would look at. You look at Green Bay and you're like, do you really need a AJ Dillon? If you start losing a couple more games, and you already got a franchise running back there, and you got AJ Dillon in the mix. If they're gonna, if Aaron Rodgers is going to retire maybe next year, you start selling pieces away, and you can always get a running back, but like a power back behind this line would be fucking bananas. Mm-hmm. To add in the mix. Gainwell can give you some passing down situations, and he's a mismatch in space as well. Even Miles Sanders says that Gainwell has the best hands on the team, and the way that Miles is playing, I think collectively, and Scott, it's a little three-headed monster that I'm not mad at. So does that Jay Ajayi trade come? Because that's what people were talking about. Like, but then I usually nix that and say like, well, I'm going for the fireball off the edge. you say Brian Burns, it might cost you much.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to bring that up.
Yeah.
But you look to the future, because then you got a young pass rusher. Then you think about, we got old man OG. I love him to death, Brandon Graham, but his days are numbered. And then
After the season,
or Robert Quinn. If you're gonna add somebody off the edge, it's another pass rusher. I'm really about getting to the quarterback at this point. Like, I feel like the way that the defense is playing and teams are getting the ball out quick, think about a fireball or a bend it like Burns. Because, what would it cost? But, like, if you're trying to go all out, like all the top teams right now are thinking about their next move. We got a damn week to think about it. I don't know. Like, running back is an afterthought.
I'm all for Brian Burns, and I'm all for it. Bringing Thunder Thighs, AJ Dillon to Philly. I feel like bringing a power back makes the most sense in the world, because you want that power back in the second half. You want him to neutralize the game.
Then you got the Trey Sermon stands. Look, what about Trey Sermon? He played. He gave you some nice little snaps. Like, can he give you more? Like, I don't know. Like, I just think the focus should be on getting to the quarterback. Like, adding another pass rusher to me would make the most sense.
I don't disagree with that. So you would trade for C-Mac, is what you're trying to say?
Me?
Trade for C-Mac, put him in at end, and done deal.
Yeah.
That's it. You're set.
He'll stay healthy, I think, right?
C-Mac, he's a soft tissue injury away, man.
Yeah, that's
like, as much as, like, I'm more of a Dalvin Cook stan than I am, C-Mac. I just feel like he's always getting hurt.
I don't disrespect that at all. I mean, I'm pretty sure Zach and I will kind of get over it at some point. We'll start talking again one-on-one.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But so anyway, I was wondering, you mentioned the pass rush. What do you think about a guy like a Jerry Hughes? Kind of more that veteran, you probably don't have to pay as much. You could possibly go for a guy like a Jerry Hughes and then a lower tier running back, power back as well, kind of get best of both worlds.
Because I was thinking about Jerry Hughes. I actually saw Kemsky propose that in one of his latest articles. I was like, I didn't think about that one. That's if you're trying to get the, expendables type, to bring in and add them to the mix, and it's going to cost you cheap.
Yeah.
Why not? Like, that's if he still got some juice.
Sure. Yeah. And he's started off fine so far, but it's kind of uneven throughout the season early on. But you said Brian Burns. My only concern with him, the only thing I don't like about Brian Burns is that I don't know he's going to be available. I mean, you just consider his age. Like, yes, they're kind of tearing things down in Carolina. You're talking about a 24-year-old elite pass rusher. Like, are they ready to move off of that? I'm ready to pretty much write a blank check, but are they actually going to do it? That's the thing. So should Howard be on the phone? Absolutely. Is he already? Probably, yeah. But Dream Edition, I'm gonna be happy if it happens. I'm not betting on it. That's just me.
Or backup safety, another position or rotational safety. Also saw that Jabril Peppers would be a guy that
where is Peppers now?
He's with the Patriots. They have seven safeties up there, and the kicker also can return punts. People forget that he's a punt returner. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But then the Covey stands are like, what about Britton Covey? I know, like, I'm one of those guys that was like, I was pro Covey, and I was like, he will make the roster. And everyone's like, he's not going to make the roster. I was like, bro, he's going to make the roster, and he did. And Covey's Covey. I'm all right with him. He's consistently. He's consistent at the catch point.
We're at the point that we can't be mad about considering other options. I feel like we're definitely at that point.
Bring Greg Ward back, man.
No. I got a poor shoulder riding on Greg Ward not coming back to the Eagles. So, maybe not Greg Ward. He can come back next year, but just not for the rest of this year. That's all I need.
He's still on the practice squad now.
Yeah.
Wait, is he on injured reserve or?
Yeah, I think he's IR, but.
Oh, so he's technically still on the roster.
Yeah,
but he's not on the 53.
He's technically on the roster,
but he's not on the 53.
Yeah. He's just biding his time. He's ready. He's been warming up. He's been catching 6 punts at a time, taking them all house.
Greg Ward's the bat phone dude. If we're gonna
Yeah.
keep the Batman theme, like, hey, we need you. Like, I mean, he could play. He could return punts. He could be your emergency quarterback. He could also be your wide receiver 5. So
4 catches for 3 touchdowns. Hey, you take that.
I mean, he did.
I hate to say it, but
2 years ago, he led the team in third down receptions.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I
They
feel like kinda
talk
I
so
feel
much
like
shit.
Ward is missing right now.
Greg Ward's that guy, man. He's that
Well,
guy.
listen, I'm asking for forgiveness right now because I feel like a player like Ward is actually missing it right now because you're not getting much out of Quez just because they use him as a burner. You're not getting much out of Zach right now either. As a blocker, Ward to me is like he had enough of a chemistry with Jalen Hurts to kind of be that guy you implemented the slot once in a blue in this current offense, opposed to going searching for anybody else.
Like, if you need someone.
If
You need someone, because you
like-
have Goddard that you can run out of the slot for that safety valve, you know, and they do that quite often.
Goddard.
You
And you can run everyone out of the slot these days.
Yeah, really, you can. I mean, they've done that with AJ Brown, they've done that with Devonta, and they've done that just for trying to pick up the first. And we've seen that with AJ Brown, where he's able to pick up yards in chunks.
Well,
on
that's
just the slant routes out of the slot. It's awesome.
a position we haven't even talked about yet is this tight end group, man. Like Jack Stoll's been way better than I thought he was going to be. You even got Grant Calcaterra in there catching a big cat. He had a big reception. So again, like who do you need to add to this team? Like you're not trying to rest on laurels.
I still feel like you need a power back. You need a Jordan Howard in your life just because Miles Sanders isn't the best in between tackles kind of runner.
If you want Jordan Howard, just call Jordan Howard.
No,
Jordan Howard's playing 2K right now, probably just like.
No, he just got signed last week.
Oh, he did get signed, didn't he?
Yeah.
By who?
I'm about to find out right now because I don't have that much information.
Anyways, all I'm saying is
the Saints. It was the Saints all teams.
There we go.
Squad. Yeah.
All right. But if you need to, like, Mark Ingram got picked up like 2 weeks ago, right? Like if you need guys like that, you really just need those bodies.
Who's the free agency that's available that is a power back that would be consistent enough for the Eagles?
And we got Trey Sermon for free, right? Like they become available. Like as rosters shift, man, it's those guys, it's the power backs that know how to pick up yards. It's those guys that get cut, right? So it's like I do understand that we need that guy. Do we need to trade for him? Do we need to sacrifice a pick for that player? I don't know. Is Trey Sermon that bad? No, I'm just saying, is there anyone on like that they could get that's that much better than what Trey Sermon's giving you? Because it's still going to be Miles Sanders. Hell, Boston Scott can pick up third downs pretty well. What you need is a pass blocking guy. Like Miles Sanders, his pass blocking's gotten better, but he's not great. It was Jordan Howard that was pass blocking. And so, like, are you going to trade away, an Andre Dillard for a pick and a pass blocking back? I don't know, man.
But if you don't, my thing with Dillard, it's a bittersweet moment because I personally believe that they need to keep Dillard just for for sake of having him. But you're entering the offseason without the capability of trading Dillard because he's gonna be a free agent. You're gonna lose a first round a guy who was your first round pick for nothing. So if you make moves for like an AJ Dillon, make a move for a big body back that is young and you have control over for the next 2 or 3 years. It's not a bad idea because it's not really cost you anything.
All I'm saying is how he made like 3 big draft mistakes over the last couple of years, and where are they now? Jalen Reagor's in Minnesota, and Jay Jaw, he's in Seattle. I don't even know.
He got cut. He got cut.
Yeah. So he's not even on the roster anymore.
He's actually at home playing 2K.
He's probably working with Condoleezza Rice now.
He's got this list of names like Arya Stark. He's getting rid of them, man. Like he's getting them off the net. I think Dillard's time in Philly, man, is coming. It's coming.
That's why that's why they're not playing him. They're like, yeah, just let him. Like we got Driscoll. Keep him
and you're
safe.
talking about him being healthy too, and I think that's the reason why he hasn't been moved yet because he wasn't healthy. Now he's healthy. Now he can come out the street and play. And again, I just feel like a team's gonna value that, man. Like he is a first round pick. That was one of those picks where he was a first round pick. You got to
make the move now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
you're using reverse psychology on me right now. So we started the podcast, and I said I don't want to trade him, and you're tricking me into thinking to trade him now because Gail just attempted me with AJ Dillon. So now my focus is on AJ Dillon, and Andre Dillon is one person that makes sense right now.
Yeah,
it's really messed up what you guys did.
Well, I also have an ulterior motive because I know his family. So I'm like, for me, it would make perfect sense. It would
Yeah.
make perfect, and but then when you start thinking about power backs, and then I started seeing the way that Packers were playing recently. I was like, bro, they could literally implode with another loss.
Yeah.
The way Aaron Rodgers is, he's made so much money that he's so aloof and not attached to reality that he's like, he's like, I got buku bucks. Like he's just. Just once you make that much money, you become out of touch with reality. Like I don't know. I don't know how. I probably would lose. I would be out of touch too. I'd probably have like a PlayStation 5 in every single room, one in the bathroom, like for no reason. 7 cars.
Oh man.
My dog would have gold fronts. You start doing stupid shit.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm getting a golden toilet bowl just because, fam. I just
lifestyle right now.
I just think they're in a place right now that they could go. You saw what's his name? Their cornerback, their star cornerback, say something about
Jair Alexander.
Yeah, Jair Alexander.
Yeah,
He said something about like if we lose one more game, I'll be a little concerned. Well, they lost to the Jets.
Yeah. Hey, it's the 4-2 Jets though.
Yeah.
But
that's been the narrative with the Packers, right? It's like they always start, and then like Aaron Rodgers comes out and says some crazy quote about just hold on, or like just be patient with it.
Just relax.
Just relax. Like
relax.
But is it possible this time?
This year feels different. This year,
his wide receivers, the consistency is not there.
Yeah. Don't have Devontae
If only he had like a Devontae Adams type, that would probably help right about now. But
he wanted the money, man. He wanted all that money, bro.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Well, both of them are going through some things. Devontae pushing people over.
The dumbest move in the world. Like, come on, dude. You know what's gonna happen if you do something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Hey, he's made so much money. You get out of touch with reality. You buy golden toilets.
His dog has gold fronts for sure. Just because he put that guy.
Oh, that's like you got to have that in Vegas, right? You got that much money in Vegas, you got a golden toilet. Like that's just kind of rule of thumb, I think.
And I mean, another guy we hadn't even talked about that we were talking about before the season started is Calvin Ridley. So you could offload someone for pick up Calvin Ridley for the next year. You have him in the wings.
That doesn't help the Packers now, though.
Not the Packers, the Eagles. That's what I'm saying.
Next year.
Yeah.
That's one of those like.
That would be a sick combo of wide receivers: Calvin Ridley, Devontae Smith, and AJ Brown. We're already causing fits for CB2s out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Like this whole podcast, the stuff that we're talking about is like RB3s and 2s. We're talking about punt returners. We're talking about, we need a rotational safety. Like we could
good place to be.
We need a backup tackle. Like we're 6-0 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I'm not as an Eagle fan. I'm not smelling the Eagles. Like I'm not smelling myself. Like I'm fully aware that the Giants are 5-1. Dallas is getting Dak back. But we beat that ass last week.
Yep,
we overall 53. I love the depth of this team. Like this solid depth. Like we're talking about linebacker depth. We're talking about defensive line depth. Secondary, the cornerbacks. Zek to Bradbury. It's a big.
I mean, he held his own with who was it that went out? I think Slay went out with a forearm injury.
Yeah,
that guy held his own for a little bit.
Yeah. Then you got Josiah backing up.
He played
Avante.
Nice,
he was feisty as hell.
He played nice. I've always been a big fan of him, so it was nice to have that validated because I was worried for a bit. I was worried.
So he's gonna get Greg Ward.
You got validated for your GM.
Yeah.
Junior GM card.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's still in the mail, but I'll get.
Yeah, everyone's got those junior GM cards you pull, and you're just like, that's the guy I liked back in the 2017.
And then when he gets burned, it's like, oh no, I have my desk.
So kind of like we spoke about the trade deadline a little bit. We spoke about what the team has done so far. They're on bye right now, and they do come back after next week. What I look for the rest of the season, I mean, they come back to a semi-easy schedule, right? You have the Steelers, you have the Commanders, and I think you go into Green Bay, and Titans as well. Steelers, Texans, there we go, yeah. So I mean,
Gotcha.
ideally, like I don't want to talk about an undefeated season because I feel like there's so much pressure that comes with that. I'd rather this team actually lose, a couple games to kind of just get that little dog in them where it's kind of like, no, listen, hear me out. Here's my proposition, right? If we go undefeated, like there's gonna be so much pressure where it's like you have to win the next game come playoffs. You have to win the next game. Like you got to keep on winning. It's kind of like that does something, bro. That does something to the mental. It's kind of like it's hard to just. I don't know.
Look at that Miami Dolphins team. Look how long those guys have lived to celebrate every year of being that undefeated team. I think it's a special moment where
it's absolutely special. But come playoff time, like
I think you're putting a little negative energy into the group.
no, whoa. Listen, first the goal front, then the Batman.
You just told us a 6-0 group here that you hope they lose a couple games so they kill the edge.
You said you would rather they lose, not you almost would rather they lose. Like you were full commitment. Listen, I want them to lose like 7 of their next games.
All this Mets fan stuff starting to come out, man.
Wow, what the hell is wrong with you guys?
I don't know what's going on.
Listen, if they lose 2 games, it's not the worst in the world, right? But it also does kind of put them in a position where it's kind of like, okay, we know what we did wrong, and the second half stuff came back to bite us in the ass. We know that we had to actually nip this in the bud come playoff time. Like I want a team prepared to go to work in the playoff time, as opposed to a team that's been kind of catered to all season, where they've won every single game. You get me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it slide.
No, you liked what I said there. You liked what I said there.
Because I like you, Brian. I'm gonna. Because
Well, I was gonna say my only thing is like, which one of these games are you okay losing? Because we just talked about how still pretty easy the schedule is from here on out. Like, are you okay?
I can read off the schedule.
Commanders, like, are you
okay
read
off the schedule?
The Texans, like, which loss are you okay with?
Packers, Titans.
I'll read off the schedule here.
This episode, I'll take it. I'll take the man. So let's go. Let's read off. The
so schedule. we got the Steelers next after the bye. You want to win that game? They just beat the Patriots. I mean, the Bucks. They just beat the Bucks.
Beat the Bucks.
Okay.
I think that might be outside of the division, the division games. That might be your toughest game yet. Like left. I don't know.
I mean, the quarterbacks that we're playing aren't the world beater. And then you got the Texans after that, followed up by the Commanders, and then we faced the Colts. Then we faced one of the best quarterbacks that we're going to face all season in the Packers, November 27th. And then we get the Titans, December 4th. Then we have Daniel Jones and the Giants, followed up by Justin Fields and the Bears. And then we have the Cowboys, Saints, and then the Giants again.
And there is no way you're losing that Saints game. That has to be circled for me. Like, Brian, if you say the Saints game, you're okay losing.
No. There's no team. It's wild to say this. There's no team that I despise more than the New Orleans Saints. Like I hate that team more than anything in the world. But
not Cowboys.
No,
I was gonna say, for me, it's just about the pick. But I guess you can hate them more than the Cowboys.
No, I really can't stand that damn team. But circling back, I mean, are we?
We're not helping you justify this, Brian.
No,
you're on your own, man. You're looking for
it sucks because it's so possible to go 17-0. Like it's so friggin' possible, right?
Well, the whole idea of I love how he has the guys thinking that it's a fight. So you got 17 rounds. Like each week, you reset the clock. You're 0-0. Like you have one round, win this round, go to the next one, win the next round. I think staying focused and being locked in is very, very key. Like if they start smelling themselves, then that's a problem.
Yeah. And Morgan talked about Jalen Hurts' mentality about how, even though they're 6-0, like every single game, it hasn't been adequate. There's still more work to be done. There's still a better level, a higher level that they can play at. So it's that same kind of mentality in Hurts too. So you're really, and Sirianni's feeling that way too. You're getting it from every angle in the Eagles organization, and that's a winning mindset. So I love it. It's the way that it should be. That always can do better, always can be better. That kind of reset when the bell rings, like Gail was talking about. That's the mindset they do have. It's what they have to have. And that's why I want them to go 17-0.
I'm more fearful of the Giants than I am of the Cowboys in this remaining schedule, just because I mean, the Giants defense. I don't want to put them on a pedestal and say they're
Well, we
legit.
already beat the Cowboys once, right? That matters.
Well, yeah, no,
think-
absolutely.
I mean, Brian probably works with a lot of Giant fans. He's in
Mhm.
Giant country.
Mhm.
I think this whole
Actually,
Mets Giants thing is rubbing off on you,
That's
bro.
what I'm thinking, man. There's a lot going
Well,
on.
my baseball team.
The
will
Giants
okay?
are finally
This is
good, so
subject.
Brian's kind of being pulled back to the
Yeah.
other side. So it's
I'm getting a lot of
Giants.
I'm getting a lot of Giants. My friends that were Giants fans haven't called me about 3 years. They have all been collectively calling me each week, like, "Yo, we got something brewing." Yeah,
They don't have a quarterback. They have no quarterback. Let's put that out there.
They do have a guy who can right the ship in the quarterback room. I do like that he's in the mix. I think the culture change. The defense has been doing some things, but overall, I think
Daboll's no joke, man. He's a good coach.
Yeah,
coach.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, would the Giants be the trap game of all the games? I mean, think about it, like you're going, you're facing Pittsburgh. I don't see them losing to Pittsburgh. I don't see them losing to the Commanders or the Texans. Obviously not. Titans definitely not. Hell no.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, what do you really have besides the Giants?
It's crazy. The schedule looks lovely right now.
Mm-hmm.
It looks lovely, and we didn't pick the schedule, us Eagle fans. The NFL did. So like every week you have to justify your team winning to everyone else. Like, well, who'd you play? Like,
oh, that's so annoying. Like, stop.
Play the team in front of you. All you can do, play the team in front of you.
I think my biggest thing was we were talking about it with the Cardinals game is the one test that this Eagles team needs to face is they haven't really had to play from behind that often. Like Jags happen, but that Jags offense isn't really built to put up a lot of points. I know they have, but that's not really, they're not there yet. So they gave us a little scare and stuff like that. But the Cardinals, man, that offense, that's been your closest game. That's been like your tightest matchup is because they put pressure on you offensively, and you're looking at the schedule like the Packers. It's interesting. It's done like a 180 because before the season started, we were thinking, okay, the Titans game might be tough, the Packers game might be tough. The Steelers always play like they're a good team, right? Well coached, they're always going to play you tough. But it's kind of flipped now, where we thought the division games were going to be kind of the easy ones. Obviously, the Cowboys were going to give you some trouble, so we weren't sure how those were going to game. But like, okay, Commanders were going to beat that team, Giants were going to beat that team easy, and now it's flipped. So it's interesting, but I don't see any teams on the schedule that are really built to like put up points and scare this team. So I think that's going to be the biggest test come playoffs. Is like,
but that's my thing.
What happens when you're down 17?
It's not about putting up points against the Eagles. So here's where my fear is. And then what will bite the Eagles in the ass if it does happen? If the Giants, let's use them, if their defense is stifling enough where they can hold the Eagles to 14 points, and come second half, the Eagles are struggling to get into the end zone. Like, that's my fear. Like, I feel like with the Cowboys game, we should have put our foot on their neck at some point in the second half. But for some reason, coming out of the halftime, there's always
you're missing 3 offensive linemen, though.
Yeah. We had this guy, Lane Johnson, went out. I don't know if you heard of him.
Oh, you guys were just praising Jack Driscoll. Don't give me that, all right? I'm saying though, like you have to, like, your whole job is to adjust. 13 screen passes against the Cardinals is not adjusting.
While we're on the schedule of the offensive line, I just want to bring this up: is that was a clear matchup that Dallas wanted to exploit was Isaac Seumalo's pass blocking. They went after him, man. They went after him, and that's gonna keep happening, man. I think.
You think he's a weak spot on the offensive line?
Huh?
You think he's a weak spot on the offensive line?
100%. He's a great run blocker, but his pass blocking, man, they went after him. It doesn't matter if it was Parsons, it was DeMarcus Lawrence. They created situations where he's one-on-one with a pass rusher, and he did not do well. And that's your weakest link.
And he's a decent lineman. I just think, also against the Dallas has a good defensive line. I think,
But
it would also help if you had a pass blocking running back. But
that too. But I can see, I mean, it's way off in the future. But I can see, we have two first round draft picks. Don't be surprised you heard it here first if one of them's a guard. That's all I'm saying.
No, obviously not. I mean, we built through the trenches, but the issue right now is we live in a what have you done for me lately league, and the Eagles need to make sure that they protect Jalen Hurts at all costs when things like this do happen, which ideally makes sense to trade for a power back that can actually block.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Andre Diller's not going to be out there, standing in the running back position thinking that he's going to run the ball.
Yeah, a little bit more chipping involved would be nice. Like one thing that I've seen that, like, if I want to look at something negatively about our offense is like when the blitz is coming, there's no hot read where it makes sense. Like you got, a couple of these plays, you got like, you got a post, you got a deep in. You're like, where's the quick slant, the something in the flats, like. You see it coming, and then I'm like, yo, you got everyone at the line. Like, where's the hot route? So, and it's time and time again, they've struggled against the blitz. So I think that needs to be brushed up. I do love the screen game, what they've done with Dallas Goedert. I think that's been great. Yeah. I think I mean, what else? I mean, at this point in time, it's just like going into the buys where you have to think about what your shortcomings are and come out of the bye refreshed, seeing your fam, not get arrested, not get in trouble, keep the mindset tight.
Tackling, that's what they need to work on.
Yeah, I'll give them that.
Tackling, man, that's gonna be the key to this defense. It's not a bad defense. Sometimes the aggression levels go up and down, but at the end of the day, man, even if you're in off zone, you got to tackle. That's the biggest thing. And
so, before we go to the next topic, really quick before, because we're coming to the close of the podcast, I do want to give Gail his flowers because Gail was actually our first big guest when we first started the podcast, and he's been consistently on the podcast every year. So
yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, I love when you come on, honestly.
Man, you guys are OGs now.
And I'm sure you and Zach text each other on Twitter or something like that before the podcast with all this Kelly Green. I love it, though. I appreciate it.
You got the memo?
We just knew the vibe.
Nice on the eyes. I love how it looks, man.
You didn't wear any Eagle stuff, and you're talking about the Giants all the time. I got a lot of questions.
Listen, I'm very religious with my Eagle stuff, right? It's going on at the right moment, okay? The Randall Cunningham jersey on for the Cowboys game, like it's got to be the perfect moment, all right? Plus, I just got home, all right, so I have enough time to change. Rest of the season, guys. How are we feeling? Like, what is the outlook?
17-0.
I don't think you can argue that.
All right, thanks. That's it.
We just talk about the schedule.
Oh, if you want some analysis, no, I feel like we still have not seen a complete game from them. I really do feel like they are going to get it together in that aspect. I do think once this team gets another piece, there should be another piece added. And that's where it could be that's where you can see it could be a big move that could really help this team do some things. I do think it should be.
Gail knows the information. He's not telling us.
I just think I have heard. No, I can't say that. I can't say that one.
You just said I have heard, and then say you can't say it.
I have no, I don't, because then I don't want to get.
You have heard things.
I don't want to have one of those quotes out there like it'll be like one of those. Gail Saunders said like
with his photo in the
it would be like a Jacob Media joint, like.
Oh God!
And then you get killed for it. But I just heard some things, so I feel like I just heard some things.
You've heard it here first. Girl has heard some things.
Gail Saunders says that
we're still making that graphic. Yeah, we're still making that graphic.
It's gonna be said. I've heard some things.
I mean, it's got to be a move come down the pipe. And what better time they have a bye week? This is they're probably working the clock right now to make a move.
Daniel Jones will be a Philadelphia Eagle at the end of the night, according to Gail Saunders.
C-Max happening.
Yeah.
But look at the teams that are going to the shambles right now. We have Denver is not looking too hot right now.
Also missing a left tackle for the reference.
Colts. Who else?
Titans.
I did not looking too hot.
That whole division, really. I mean, Jags are not trading.
Start looking at those rosters because that's where you can start picking some people off, dude.
There's Browns.
We should make this every week where until trade deadline, where it's like Gail's like where's Waldo kind of thing. We're like, where's the trade at? And he goes drops these little tea leaves.
I heard something. Yeah, because like I hear the most random stuff from the most random people that I've heard talk to, and then it's like you just take that with a grain of salt. But then sometimes you'll hear something that a certain player had said something, and you're like, and it's like off the record, so it's not really like it's a conversation that and they're just like, all right, mental note. Come on, Flippin' the Bird and say, I heard something.
I've heard some things out there.
I've been here. Do you want? Are we saying still predictions for the rest of the season, Brian? Or are we just
not so much predictions, but just like if you want to drop the 17-0 bomb, like
I haven't
it's
heard,
up to you.
I haven't heard anything, so I don't know. I can't follow that up. But yeah.
So just honestly, do we think we're going to lose 1 or 3 games?
Yeah, I think 15-2 is probably realistic.
Okay.
And I feel like that Cowboys game, that's probably one that you look at where that's gonna
the Cowboys second time around.
No, but I think that's gonna mean more to the Cowboys than it does the Eagles. And fatigue's gonna set in eventually. And then I think just one of those extra games where it's just they still got a few short weeks coming, which sucks. We forgot about that. Like was it 5 short weeks they have this year, which is crazy.
What's the last 2 weeks? Last 2 games of the season.
Last game is against the Giants.
Saints. They're not losing the Saints.
Not losing the Saints.
But Giants. It probably won't. That game probably won't matter.
They potentially could lose to the Giants because then they're going to rest their guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so
but you lose to the Saints, and that's like the difference between 7 and 13 when it comes to halftime. So you're not going to be doing that.
We just have to figure out if the Giants are for real or not, dude.
Yeah,
to be honest, like because they're right there.
Game, but
Lamar looks.
Who does the Giants got?
Barkley.
No.
Coming up. I was gonna
say,
all they got. It's Barkley and defense. That's all they got. Like, that's their entire team.
Seahawks, Texans, Lions, Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, Commanders, Vikings, Colts.
Geno Smith takes them to town.
All right. Well, we're gonna find out if they're pretenders December 11th when we play them, because up until then they just play the Cowboys. They should lose to the Cowboys. If they beat the Cowboys, we might be talking. Brian might have reason to celebrate.
Well, I mean, he's got he's got those guys. He does have those guys believing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Culture change. And now the other question I had, because I have this conversation with a lot of Giants fans, because do you pay Saquon Barkley?
What do you think, Brian?
I think you have to after this season.
Whoa! The Japs just keep on coming.
It's nice. We won't have to have a guest on for Giants Week. You can just tell us all
about it.
Oh, wow.
You know what?
You got a Dwight Gooden jersey on under there, dude.
Yo, the Mets attack, dude. Damn. Oh, God.
I think Morgan's right, though. You kind of have to if you're New York, just because he's been your entire offense. It's one of those situations where is it going to –
Who are you going to pay, Daniel Jones?
Do you not like my point for your Giants? Is that what I'm hearing? Or is that...
Giants? Holy shit!
Well, what about?
Where else are you going to put the money towards? You're not going to pay one of those wide receivers out there.
Daniel Jones is getting a lot of love right now. People are liking Daniel Jones again. Is that?
I don't think that there's no way they give him a bag.
I hope they do.
Would like another quarterback a lot better once they saw him in the offense.
I think it's one of the worst things that could have happened for the Giants to be good this year, because they could have got a nice pick and got one of those quarterbacks, and then they'd be a tough team to play. But now they didn't get one of those quarterbacks.
So. I mean, they could have traded with the Saints, but we beat them to it.
Yeah, weak.
How about that, man? Like I keep on.
That's crazy.
I think we have a top 5 pick and possibly a Super Bowl contender.
And then you see who's out. Like a lot of guys are out this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Saints are not going to be good.
Didn't they bench on Jameson in favor of Andy too as well?
Well, Jameson was dealing with a back injury.
He was.
But it's kind of a toss-up who's going to be the starter going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Because Andy's been fine. He's been a real game manager, which is, I guess, the best that you could hope for in that situation.
I just want to watch them ride the Taysom Hill train. That's all I want to see. That's it. Just do it. This is the year. Figure it out. Figure out if he's $100 million man or not.
I can't believe they paid him. They gave him a nice chunk of change for doing nothing. Absolutely. I mean, He hasn't done
Haven't-
much.
He has 2 good games a year where he just goes crazy, and it's like it didn't matter because you're playing the Jags. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So good for them.
Well, yeah.
Top 5.
So I mean, is everybody on board with 17-0? Am I the only one that's like 15-1?
Well,
I'll give it 16-1. The Giants game was
16-1.
at the end of the season. Like,
I
we're not
think-
going to play anybody.
Yeah.
I think words are very powerful, Brian. And when you put when you speak things into existence, that's when things go, sideways. So
Yeah.
So you're saying I did everything right then? That's what you're trying to tell me.
Well, we brought you back.
17-0.
We brought you back.
All I'm saying is it's not
Brought you
going to be
back.
6-11. It's not going to be 6-11.
So we continue
No.
to say undefeated. Well, we might go undefeated.
Listen, I enjoy it. I go into the office every morning and I tell the guys, "Hey, 6-0 looks better than."
Yo, nothing hurts right now. I sleep better.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
just feels good.
Food tastes better.
the Phillies are winning.
Everything's better.
Phillies are winning, but
Yeah.
Brian wouldn't know anything about that. But the Phillies are
So
winning.
listen, again,
Today
last
aside,
podcast
yeah,
you missed it.
absolutely.
I applauded the Phillies because they're doing what good teams are supposed to be doing. So the Phillies, on my behalf, they get their flowers. And Bryce Harper is possibly one of my favorite players in the league. But still,
Wow. Is Morgan a Toronto fan?
I don't think Morgan.
Montreal Expos?
I can't watch baseball.
Expos.
Oh.
Damn, you brought it back. Vladimir
Man,
Guerrero.
That the Jays and the Leafs, man, they just find ways, man. They find ways to let you down. So I had to give that up. But hey, let's go Raptors. They're losing right now to the Cavs, but
Oh gosh.
Yeah, no, we're not saying let's go Raptors on this show. That's I'm
Hey,
putting the
but we
kibosh on that
can
one.
say on
That's,
this show really quick, since I'm handing out flowers apparently because nobody else wants to hand out damn flowers. Zach though is actually breaking a wall in PSN history right now where he'll actually be a credentialed
hell yeah.
media member for with the Philadelphia Sixers. So I think you're attending your first game fairly soon.
Tomorrow.
That's awesome, dude.
Tomorrow I'll be there for the Bucks. Yeah. Looking
You should wear
forward
a
to
big
it.
T-shirt with my face on it.
You can't wear any team apparel, huh?
I can't wear any team apparel, which means that I can't wear a picture of Brian because I'd have to have like a Mets hat or a Giants jersey on that picture of him. So
Bring your best
It
church
be a
suit.
Sweaty head,
I'll be wearing. Believe me, it's a Tyrese Maxey under the church suit, so it will be in attendance. You just won't see it. So
What's the fit? So what's the fit? You got your best church suit?
We got a few
Can we get a photo of
leaders in
that?
the
Like, can we
clubhouse
post
right now,
that
but
on
we
the
might
Twitter?
we might be going a little bit into that kind of fancy cash, with the
Ooh, powder blue suit.
what I'm working on is what I'm wearing with the shoes. Is what
Are you
I got
looking
some,
at the two right now?
No, I'm just thinking. I'm looking
No,
through
looking
walls at my closet, and I'm like, do
Time
I
out.
go with my
You got the
Johns?
gold
Do I
chain
go
out
with
and
my fly
everything. Are
traps?
you
Like,
looking
what
at
do
the
I
two?
got going on? So it's
Can you promise us some when you walk in there as if first time credentialed media? Can you do the Ric Flair walk?
oh, you're gonna know I'm there. I'm gonna do the LeBron James. I got the baby powder already packed in the backpack. Like I'm all. You will know that I am there. That's
arrived.
For sure. Yeah,
I would
that's
like to
it,
see a
yeah.
tweet tomorrow.
Oh, it's gonna be there. Yeah.
It has to happen. There's no way it can't happen. Like we had to release this information.
All I'm hearing is powder blue suit. That's all I'm hearing. But
Ooh.
If I had it, I would. Don't tempt me, Morgan.
Ooh.
Right? If my wife would let me, believe me, I would. I'd be looking out there like Dumb and Dumber in a heartbeat. I'd be so ready for it.
that's all I'm hearing.
Oh,
little vest underneath.
Absolutely.
ruffles.
Absolutely.
Straight your stuff, man. Just straight your stuff.
I'm peacocking, man. I got it. Oh, I'm good.
You deserve it, dude.
No,
like
you
you
believe I got
completely
it.
taking that mantle from
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate
to
it.
lead writer and to editor now. Like you deserve it, dude, and I'm super proud of you.
I appreciate it, man. That's really, really kind of you. I really appreciate that.
I mean, you know what? Let's be in a giving mood. Let's look at Gale really quick because Fort and Jawn, they host the best tailgates I've ever experienced in my life. Like these guys, they really go all out to make sure Eagles fans have the best time at the games every single week. Like every single week, home or away. Like these guys are dedicated as hell.
We try, man. We try, and
Don't give me that.
it's no, but it's like you get the opportunity to meet all these Eagle fans from across like the world is kind of crazy. We had guys from like Scotland and like Dublin, Ireland, and you're just like it's you just realize how big the fan base is, and at the end of the day, Eagle fans just want to connect and vibe out on their first Eagles game ever. And the fact that they choose us to tailgate with, and shout out to Bud Light and Conchi Bakery, and shout out to Jennifer Slay. The Slay family has been showing up consistently. She's like a rock star. She comes down. A lot of Eagle fans enjoy her presence. Overall, it's a good vibe, and being 6-0 helps out tailgates. I don't know how we can continue to feed and bring enough beer.
But there's a
Eagle
lot of
fans.
work that goes into what you guys do. Like, I mean, I experienced it at one time at MetLife. And you
Oh
guys,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you guys get up at the crack of dawn and like you guys do your thing, and it's wild how much work you guys put into it. So again, like it's hats off to you guys because you've been doing it consistently for quite some time now.
Yeah. So the next thing is to get all of you guys down there at a tailgate.
All right.
Shoot, I'm in. I'm already.
I'm seeing the. I gotta ask my wife. Like I want to. You bring the whole family.
A passport.
If we could do a thing where it's like flipping the birds, just just shows up and just has a good time with you guys, I'm all for it because again, like I said, you guys are phenomenal hosts at the end of the day from beginning to end. I think we were eating like steak sandwiches at the end of the night because you don't want to waste the steak.
Oh yeah, that was good steak.
Yeah,
that was it was like a victory steak. That was some good stuff.
It was.
Yeah, there's always like random moments at a tailgate that you get and you're just like, man, I can't believe we're having this much fun, and our Eagles are winning. So I mean, it's always a good combination. But again, if you want to come to a tailgate, it's an open invite. We have no. It's just show up, bring your vibes, bring whatever you like. We'll take care of you, and you can let Brian. We need a Yelp review, Brian.
Dude,
there you go, Brian.
You tell me where and when. All right, I got you. All right, because it was cold as hell because I actually underdressed for that.
Yeah, this guy was shivering, looked like a chihuahua at one point. I was like,
tell me that they got like ski screws underneath their clothes, and I'm like, damn, like I could tell me anything. I'm freezing my ass off out here.
See, that's a different part of the game. Like when you attend games like every week, I've been to 6 straight. There's different occasions where you have to like switch up the gear. There's a different process when it gets colder. You have to start psyching yourself up to get up at 5:30 in the morning when it's like 15 degrees out. You're like, really? The beer might stick to my face. I mean, it's definitely a game inside the game, but as long as you Eagle fans are showing up, we will be supporting everyone.
And again, hats off to you guys, man. As long as that flag is flying for you guys, I respect it completely. But yeah, I mean, this caps off another episode of Flipping the Birds. I mean, we got Morgan off his sick bed. We have Zach rocking the Kelly Green, getting ready for his big debut tomorrow. And then we got Eric behind the scenes. Well, I'm actually just dump onto the podcast right now because he's actually covering the fly right now for PSN. So yeah, we got Eric as well doing his thing. Yeah, we appreciate everybody showing out. We'll be back next week for possibly another version of State of the Eagles with possibly 2 other guests. But yeah, until then, I'm Brian Cameron alongside Zach Chavalella, Eric Reese, Morgan Burkett, and as well, Eagle Sessions himself, Gail Saunders. See you guys next week.
Go Birds!
Go Birds!
Birds. 17-0.